Hi, everyone. Jennifer Lee Chan here from NBC Sports Bay Area. It is Saturday, and the 49ers have made their roster moves for the day. George Kittle has been activated from IR, along with Kevin Givens. So that's the big news of the day. George Kittle will play on Sunday, and it looks like Kevin Givens is ready. His practice window was opened last week, but he wasn't quite ready for the game in Tampa Bay. And then now he has been fully activated. So Kevin Givens, George Kittle, both will play on Sunday. The team also promoted Travis Gibson from the practice squad to the active 53. So he has been promoted twice previously. And now, if they want him to play in a game, he has to be on the active 53. So he has been on the active 53 now. To make room for those guys, they have officially placed Fred Warner on IR, and the team has waived Braden Willis, tight end. So Fred Warner goes on IR officially. Braden Willis, tight end, is subject to waivers. So he has been waived because he's in his first contract. Any player that's in 3 years or less still on their rookie contract is subject to waivers. Another team can poach him, and he would have to go to the active 53. If he is not claimed through waivers, he could revert back to the practice squad. The 49ers could bring him back. He has been with the 49ers since he joined the NFL, since being in the NFL, and I know they really like him. He actually had a lot of playing time last year. He's kind of been beat out this year by Jake Tonjes, and obviously they brought in Luke Farrell as a free agent. So tight end room now with George Kittle back. I don't think they can carry Braden Willis as well, but he can go to the practice squad, and then they could, um, you know, after could be promoted again. So two guys have promoted from the practice squad just for the game, and that's wide receiver Malik Turner and offensive lineman Nick Zakelj. So Malik Turner, wide receiver, Nick Zakelj, both on the practice squad are promoted just for the game. It is, one of two times they can be promoted from the practice squad. They revert back to the practice squad after the game. So those are your roster moves for Saturday. Biggest news, obviously, George Kittle will play, Kevin Givens will play, and Fred Warner has been placed on IR. It's funny because I need to pay attention to my spidey sense a little bit more. I saw Travis Gibson in the lounge area. He had his uniform on. He didn't have a number on it. It was a blank. So a jersey without a number on it is a blank. He was out there getting headshots done. And I'm like, that's interesting. I thought he had headshots already. And then I was like, oh, well, maybe he's getting promoted to the 53 because he's on the practice squad. But no, maybe it's just a practice squad headshot. Should have told you guys that yesterday. He is obviously promoted to the active 53. They like what he's doing. And the defensive line, needs a little help there. So they've obviously liked what he's done and are having him on the active 53. So they also placed Marquez Valdez-Scantling on IR with a calf injury. I don't, interesting. We never saw what the injury was. No one asked about it. Probably happened in practice, similar to Upton Stout. I think he'll play, but we'll find out more soon. Obviously, 90 minutes before the game, whether he's active or not. Guys do get hurt in practice. Upton Stout was hurt in the last play of practice on Thursday, hurt his ankle, and so that's why he's on the injury report, game status report as questionable. Three guys are out. It is Yetur Gross-Matos, again, Brock Purdy, and Ricky Pearsall. Those three are out. Upton Stout is questionable. Renardo Green, questionable with a neck. And there's one more, and I can't think of it right now. So I don't think it's, I'll find it. But so those are the roster moves. But obviously the biggest one is George Kittle being activated from IR. He is going to play. And I asked Kyle Shanahan yesterday, is there an easing him in process, or he's full go? And that's what Kyle Shanahan said. Full go. He's full go. Let's see. Kevin Givens is questionable. There it is. So Kevin Givens has been upgraded, which I think means he'll play. Upton Stout questionable, Renardo Green with the neck questionable, and Kevin Givens questionable. So George Kittle's not on the list whatsoever. He is going to play. He is 100%. It was good to see him lining up next to Trent Williams during blocking warmups. So he's ready to go and very excited. And he said, he had to be smart about it. He couldn't be an idiot and come back too early, because then it could have been a season ender, and he definitely did not want that. But he only played 20 some snaps in week one, and he's been itching to get back since. He was itching to get back on the field after the end of last season. And so for him to only play half a game or less in week one and to be out since then has been really, really challenging for him. So good to see him back. I'm sure we'll see a lot of him. And I do think it changes how the opposing defenses, how the Atlanta Falcons defense, and they're good, how that defense approaches the 49ers offense. I also think Matt Mayoko has a good point in that he thinks that it's really difficult for an NFL team to put together two completely dominating performances in a row. Atlanta Falcons just, I mean, had such an amazing performance last week, and for them to do it 2 weeks in a row, he doesn't think it's quite possible. I mean, you did see Kendrick Bourne go 142 two times in a row, but it doesn't generally happen. So you usually see, some ups and downs in teams. So he thinks that it's going to be hard for the Falcons to do that. So the 49ers potentially could have a solid game against them and they do have a chance, of course. The teams always have a chance to win. You never know what's going to happen. Who would have thought that both Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers at 40 would have a really exciting Thursday night game? Not me. I think that's pretty much it. This is the Saturday edition here, just Saturday update. It is a Sunday night game. It's going to be a little chilly as the evening goes on. They're wearing their red throwback jerseys, the old school reds. I love the old school jerseys, white and red. White's my favorite. The red is really nice, though. The color block numbers are really cool. I do like the saloon font for the All Blacks. Those are coming up. Not yet, though, but it is the red throwbacks, and those are always fun to see. During warm-ups, we'll see, we'll see how the cornerback situation kind of susses out. If Upton Stout is unable to go at nickel, Deommodore Lenoir could go in there. It also could be Chase Lucas. Chase Lucas has been a really fun player to watch. He's been great and, super energetic. And I think the defense will enjoy that energy. But I think the big test this week is for Tatum Bethune. Not that he has to come in and be Fred Warner, because no one can do that, but for him to wear the green dot and to be the leader, to get everybody in the right position, it's a lot. He's, the captain of the ship. And so he had a taste of it last week in Tampa after Fred went out. So how does he step up? And, he's always seemed to me like a quiet guy in the locker room. But when we spoke to him this week, he was, very thoughtful in his answers. He was he was not cowering at all at any questions. He was standing up tall and very confident in what he was going to say. And so it'll be fun to watch him get his chance. Christian McCaffrey said it's these young guys getting their shot, and I'm excited to see it. And that's also what Kyle Shanahan said. If you missed my Friday night video, it's a really cool story. And I know I teased it in the title, but if you haven't been following along for a while, this is what Kyle Shanahan does. And this is why Kyle Shanahan is one of the best coaches in the NFL. On Wednesday's team meeting, Kyle Shanahan put together clips of a linebacker wearing number 48 and showed a bunch of clips of number 48 as a linebacker and what that player went through in their opening season and their first player as a rookie, their first game as a rookie. And he showed that on the big screen in front of the entire team. And then he said, hey, you know who that is? It's Fred Warner. Fred Warner in his first year in the NFL wore number 48. And he said he didn't have as much swag, no dreads, just a different player. And I remember Fred Warner as a rookie. And it wasn't until year 2 that we really saw the Fred Warner, at least a glimpse of the Fred Warner that we see now on the field. His rookie year, he was good, but they put so much on his plate, and they had a really good defensive line. So he didn't have to do as much, even though they put a ton on his plate. But it wasn't like this year. This year, Fred Warner was directing traffic. He was telling people where to go. I think if Fred Warner was on the field, Baker Mayfield doesn't run for a first down on 3rd and 14. Fred Warner's going to kind of erase the mistakes that happen potentially in the backfield and at the first level. Fred Warner's just that guy. He didn't really change into the Fred Warner or start changing into the Fred Warner that we see now until his second year when Quan Alexander joined the team. And it was preseason with the Denver Broncos, and it was joint practices, and there was a number 54 on the field, and he was brash, he was chippy, he was kind of pushing around players. And I overheard Broncos coaches are like, they said, "Who's that asshole number 54?" "Oh yeah, that guy. Who's that number 54?" And he was probably maybe taking a little bit, just a little bit too far in practice, just hitting a little bit too much, maybe taking guys down. They're not supposed to take guys to the ground in preseason. But Fred Warner in his second year pushed the boundaries just a little bit. And I remember thinking, who is that guy? Who's that a new guy? That was Fred Warner. He had changed his number to 54. And Quan Alexander is a huge reason Fred Warner is the way he is. Quan Alexander was kind of a loud, brash, hard-hitting linebacker. And that's exactly who Fred Warner became, and then some. Fred Warner became a guy who is a leader on the field, off the field, in the locker room, in the training room, how he recovers, how he eats. He told Tatum Bethune that, "I'm not going to give you any tips. You got to get your diet right first." I mean, that's an incredible step as a leader. He's like, "No, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to help you with your game play, with your play on the field until you get your body right, until you get your diet right, until you get your recovery right. I'm not going to help you." I mean, he is helping him. He did help him, but he's not going to give him like tips on how to play linebacker better. He's like, "No, you have to get yourself better first before you can even take it to that level." And it's Kyle Shanahan, going back to the story. I kind of went off on a tangent there a little bit, but Kyle Shanahan showed those clips, and he said, if I look at those clips and I look at Tatum Bethune and D Winters and this defense and these young group, this young guys, he's like, I would take you two now over Fred Warner then. Kyle Shanahan told them he watched the game film on the plane right when he got on the plane, and he was so angry and so depressed, and like looked at the game film and he was like upset. And he's like, all right, I needed to switch my mind up. He's like, I'm going to look at it in a different way. And he looked at it to find plays that inspired him. And so he put up, and he's like, yes, there were mistakes, there were missed assignments, but he picked out 8 to 10 plays of Tatum Bethune and D Winters on the field where they did an amazing job, where they had great tackles. I mean, Tatum Bethune led the team in tackles in Tampa. 10, I think 5 were solo. So he was inspired by those. Kyle was inspired by those, and he put those on the field, on the screen, and he showed the team. He's like, this. He's like, I'm inspired by this. And so motivationally, that's got to give Tatum Bethune and D Winters such a boost of confidence. I mean, if Kyle Shanahan said that to me, like, I would take this person, you now, over this person back then, you're so much further ahead than he was then. But, he grew into Fred Warner. So this is why I have so much respect for Kyle Shanahan, not just his offensive scheming, but the emotional things that he does to help boost confidence in his players and how he sees things. I know there's a whole faction of people out in the world that don't like him and think he should be fired. But when I hear these stories about how Kyle Shanahan can inspire trust and confidence in his players, that's why I think he's one of the best. And the 49ers are lucky to have him. And so we'll see what he has in store for the Atlanta Falcons coming up. His team that he was the offensive coordinator for, taking him to the Super Bowl, but that's so far removed from what he is now. But just a little story for y'all on Saturday. Saturday stories. All right. Hope you guys are all well, and we'll see you soon.